Imagine a door. 20% of all the oil in the world must pass through it every single day. Now imagine someone is trying to slam that door shut. That is exactly what is happening right now in the Middle East. The United States just intercepted 42 ships trying to move oil. Those ships carried 69 million barrels. That is enough oil to fill an Olympic swimming pool 46 times. But here is the part nobody is telling you. The U.S. military is facing a problem it did not expect. Some of America's closest allies are saying no, and new questions are emerging about what comes next. I am going to show you exactly what is happening and why it matters to your life. In this video, you will learn 3 things. First, what the U.S. Navy is actually doing in the Persian Gulf right now and why it matters. Second, how China is finding ways around American power. And third, the one question that nobody in the media is asking but everyone in Washington is whispering about. Plus, I will show you how this could raise the price of gas at your local station. Keep watching because this story is moving fast. Let me take you back. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow strip of water between Iran and Oman. Iran sits on one side, Oman sits on the other. In between is a lane about 2 miles wide where ships sail through. This stretch of water is one of the most important passages for oil in the entire world. About 20% of all the oil used globally passes through here. That oil powers your cars. It makes the trucks that bring food to stores. It keeps factories running. When Iran talks about closing this strait, it is like holding a gun to the world's economy. And for decades, Iran used this as a bargaining chip, a powerful card to play, like holding the only key to a door that everyone needed to walk through. The United States has always tried to keep that door open. Now that relationship has completely changed. Here is what is actually happening right now. The U.S. Navy has set up something called a blockade. A blockade is when one country stops all ships from going in or out of another country's ports. The U.S. military is using warships and warplanes to stop vessels from delivering oil to or from Iran. CENTCOM is the part of the U.S. military that controls operations in the Middle East. They reported that they have already stopped 42 commercial ships trying to sneak through. They seized an Iranian cargo ship called the Tuska. Marines rappelled from helicopters onto that ship. That means they descended by rope from a helicopter onto the deck while it was moving through the water. More than 12 warships and over 100 fighter jets and surveillance aircraft are now stationed in the region. This is the largest concentration of American military power in the Middle East since the 2003 invasion of Iraq. Think of it like this. The U.S. is putting up a security checkpoint on every road leading out of a house. No cars can leave. No supplies can get in. That is what a blockade means in practice. But here is what is really interesting. China is not playing along. China is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil. That means China needs that oil to keep its factories running, to keep its economy working. Instead of obeying American sanctions, China said the U.S. sanctions are illegal. Beijing told its companies to keep buying Iranian oil. The U.S. put sanctions on 5 Chinese oil companies. China called those sanctions an attack on normal business. This is a big deal. America is trying to strangle Iran's oil money, but China is holding the door open for Iran to still sell oil. Think of it like a parent trying to ground a teenager, but the teenager's friend keeps letting them use the back door. The punishment does not work as well. But here is what nobody is talking about. Germany said no. Germany refused to join the offensive military operations against Iran. Germany is one of America's closest allies inside NATO. The alliance that has stood with the U.S. for 75 years said no to this fight. The U.S. is now pulling 5,000 troops out of Germany as a result. Germany also refused to help with the naval operations. This is huge. When you try to enforce a blockade, you need allies to help. You need countries to agree that the blockade is legal and proper. Without Germany and potentially other allies, the U.S. is doing this almost alone. Other countries are watching. They are asking themselves if they want to follow America's lead or find their own path. That is the new question nobody is talking about. Now let me show you how this hits your wallet. Oil is not just something that ships carry. It is something that affects everything you buy. When oil prices go up, gas prices go up. When gas prices go up, it costs more to drive to school. It costs more for your parents to drive to work. It costs more to ship food to grocery stores. That means the price of cereal, milk, and everything else goes up too. Experts say the Strait of Hormuz crisis is hitting low-income countries the hardest. Countries as far away as the South Pacific are feeling the impact. The price of jet fuel went up so much that Spirit Airlines, a low-cost American airline, just shut down. It is the first major American airline to fail due to fuel costs in 25 years. Your family might not buy oil directly, but every time you fill up the car, every time you buy groceries, every time your parents pay a utility bill, you are connected to this story. So what happens next? Here are 2 possible futures. Scenario 1, the U.S. blockade holds. Iran agrees to stop its nuclear program and its support for armed groups. A peace deal gets reached. Oil flows again. Gas prices stabilize. The world goes back to normal. That is the good scenario. Scenario 2, the blockade breaks down. Iran finds more ways to sell oil through shadow networks. China keeps buying. Other countries start ignoring American sanctions too. Oil prices spike. Gas hits $5, $6, maybe $7 a gallon. Global economies slow down. Inflation gets worse. And the US has to decide whether to escalate or back down. Nobody knows which future we get. Not the experts. Not the generals. Not the politicians. The next few weeks will decide. Let me wrap up the 3 things you need to know. 1, the U.S. Navy is running an active blockade against Iranian ports with over 100 aircraft and 12 warships involved. 2, China is actively challenging American power by refusing to stop buying Iranian oil and calling U.S. sanctions illegal. 3, America's own allies are starting to push back. Germany refused to join, and that is changing everything. The question I want to leave you with is this. If some of America's oldest friends are saying no to this mission, does that mean American power has a limit? And if it does, what happens to the global economy when that limit gets tested? Subscribe because this story is moving fast and the next development could come at any moment. I will see you in the next one.